As you've probably seen from earlier on in the video, today was test day and I passed the test, which I'm super, super proud about. I just thought I'd take a few moments just to go over what the day was like for me, what my experience was of test day, what I found easy and what I found difficult, and hopefully it will help you if you're thinking about taking your test. First of all, the morning started. I arrived at Camrider about half an hour early, sat in my car feeling nervous. And actually when I walked in, there was like a room full of CBTers. And then we had a quick debrief with Nigel, who you saw in the video earlier, fantastic motorcycle instructor at Camrider. And then we went out and did a bit of practice on the dual carriageways, which was really, really helpful. And then we ended up at the test centre. Now my test was at 11:11. The guy that I was with, the other candidate, his was at 10:10, I think, or 10:11, maybe 10:11, makes more sense. And so he went first and I was sat looking outside thinking, well, this weather looks all right. It was bright. It was a little rainy, but it wasn't too bad. And he was gone, I guess, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, came back in, looked absolutely furious. First thing he said was, that didn't go well. I was like, oh, no. Doesn't really inspire confidence when you're about to go and take your test, which I was. Turned out he failed. And the reason that he failed was he apparently was on a dual carriageway and he'd come off the exit road, and the car that he was behind, which he was trying to keep the 4-second distance, which is correct, was only traveling at like 45, 50 miles an hour. And because he said there was loads of traffic in the fast lane, he didn't try and make progress. And so he sort of sat there doing this speed, and the instructor failed him because, you know, you're going so slowly and you could go quicker. So he wasn't happy about that at all. And so then when I went out, in my mind, I'm thinking, right, okay, I cannot make that mistake. I've definitely got to make sure I make progress if I'm in that situation. So when I went out, I literally, beforehand, I was looking at an app called Rain Today. And if you don't know Rain Today, the actual app, when you open it, it looks a bit like this. And it's really good because it tells you when the rain is going to start, when the rain is going to end. I'm a little bit fixated with the weather, which you'll probably discover over time. And long story short, there was this satellite imagery on that app, and it had really dark black clouds coming over just at 11 o'clock. And lo and behold, the app was right. The rain came down just as we went outside, and the heavens opened and down it came, and it was just non-stop heavy torrent, which was great. Not so much. So the first thing he did was we went to the bike, and he walked around it, and he asked me, actually no, the first thing we did was he got me to read a number plate, and then we walked around the bike, and he asked me some questions. How would I check that the steering is clear and there's no issues with that? What difference would having a pillion passenger make? And the other question was, how would I check that the brake light was working? Then he was like, okay, right, you go ahead and I'll follow you. And then the rain really started to pour down. I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be difficult, but I kept thinking, well, it's going to be quick, right? It's going to go really quickly. And it really didn't. Like, it just seemed to be, as the test went on, he kept taking me down different roads. And every time he'd take me down a road, I'd think, well, surely we're going back now. But he would just take me somewhere else. And so he got me to pull over a few times. The first time was really quick, actually. It was almost straight away, but that was okay. And I think he did that 4 times. I think 4 times he got me to pull over. One of the times he got me to pull over to the side and go again was actually a hill start, and I didn't realise until he got me to stop that we were on a hill, but it was all fine. The most difficult thing, I think, was when we got to the dual carriageway section. So bear in mind that the guy I went with who failed because he was on a dual carriageway and he was stuck behind a slow vehicle and he didn't make progress. I got to this, I think, the same stretch of dual carriageway and also got stuck behind a slow moving vehicle, like it's doing 55, so it's slightly quicker. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, maybe I could go 55. Maybe that's acceptable. But then I was thinking, they want to see that you are confident and you're not just a victim of your surroundings. And so I looked in my mirror and I could see there were cars coming, and I knew that if I pulled out, there wouldn't be a 4-second gap. But I also knew that on a 650cc bike, which I think it is, might be 600, that I would be able to accelerate without affecting their momentum and create that 4-second gap. And that's exactly what I did. As soon as I pulled out, I regretted it. I was like, what have I done? Why didn't I just stay where I was? But it worked out in the end. I managed to pull back in, created a 4-second gap behind me, and the rest of the time it was fine. So obviously I passed the test. I had 3 minor errors. The first was for leaving my indicator on, and it was so annoying. And the scenario had been, I'd pulled up at this T-junction, and the road that we were pulling onto had queuing traffic. So there wasn't anywhere for me to go, and this car kept flashing me to come out, and I'm like, well, I can't come out. If I come out, I'm going to block the cycle lane. So there's nowhere for me to go. So I had to wait until there was a space. Then I looked round, probably took 30 seconds. And then by the time I came on, I'd forgotten that I was indicating. Then I heard his voice saying, right, at the next roundabout, I want you to go straight over. Now, as soon as he said that, I looked down, I was like, oh no, my indicator's still going. And so I quickly switched it off. And straight away, I thought I failed. If I haven't failed from the dual carriageway Rossi maneuver, then I surely have failed because I've left that on. And so I relaxed after that because I thought, well, I probably failed. So just relax, just do your best and don't worry about it. You tried. And so I switched that off. One of the other mistakes was there was a line of parked cars on my side of the road, but there was also a vehicle coming the other way. And so I slowed down. I was going to let it go through, but then I thought, I think there's room for both of us, which there was. And obviously, because I was overtaking the parked cars, you want to be a door's width apart. But if you can't be, I've always been taught that it's okay if you go super slow, you can look in the cars, you're much less likely to be in danger. It's all right to do that, which is what I did. But he said I probably should have just stayed back and let the car come through. And the only other one was a bit of a weird one when I came up to a mini roundabout and I got too close to the island. I think I was just too much in position 3, and maybe for a mini roundabout I didn't need to be, and it just caused me a few issues. We eventually made it back to near the test centre, and I lost the instructor. He got stuck at a roundabout, and so I managed to do the last sort of stint on my own, listening to his instructions. And when I walked in, back inside, everything was dripping. I mean, literally, my clothes, my outer clothes at least, my waterproof trousers, my motorcycle jacket, absolutely soaked. Yeah, I just thought I failed. I didn't really know what to say to Nigel, the instructor, and 60 seconds later he calls me in. I sit down, I think, right, brace yourself for bad news. But he didn't give me bad news. He says, you've passed your test, only 3 minors, congratulations. And I was so happy. It's the greatest feeling in the world, passing a test. I couldn't remember that feeling, but having that feeling afresh as a 48-year-old is a good feeling. And also knowing I'm never, ever, ever going to have to do a CBT ever again. I'm never going to have to sit in a room full of people talking about, what is a zebra crossing? Never going to have to use an L plate ever again for anything. And my son can come on the back, which he desperately wants to do. I can go on motorways. The world's my oyster. And now I'm just really looking forward to the next chapter, whatever that holds. So if you're thinking about taking your tests and you have, maybe you've done mod 1, you're waiting to do mod 2 and you're getting nervous, my advice to you would be try and get good sleep, get as much practice as you can out on the road, but most importantly, just try and relax. Like, try and find a way just to relax. But for now, I'm just going to rest, put my feet up this week, look for a different bike. I think I've settled on the bike I want, which is a Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. So if you've got one of those, please let me know how you get on with it. Brilliant reputation. But yeah, the roads await, and now I just have to wait till it's a little bit nicer because it's been pouring with rain and it looks like it's set in for a few more days. Thanks ever so much for watching my video today. Until then, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up.